Welcome back. If a youth has fallen into a sin or addicted to something, is it easily possible to quit? Let's hear it from Neville.
Jaren, unfortunately, it's not very easy for a young person to be free from their addiction. I don't think they have enough strength to overcome an addiction on their own, by their own willpower. Because even though they might be able to beat it for 3 weeks or even a month, eventually this addiction will get through to them because it's that strong. But I believe that by the grace of God, we can actually overcome these addictions. God will give us the commitment that we need, the grace that we need to be able to say no to these habits. And if you think about it, addictions, they almost cause a wound in our spirit, in our soul, and only God can clean that up. Only God can get rid of that wound and to restore us. So I believe, with through intimacy with God, through relationship with Him, I think we can overcome any addiction. Again, I say that it will be difficult, but with God's grace, it will be possible.
So, Valenka, how much support do you get from your friends, colleagues, or teachers for quitting such addictions?
In my own opinion, as a university student, I would say that there is very less support from your tutors from university. That is because you rarely see them. You'll only see them twice or three times a year. Whereas in my own case, I think I would get more support from my friends who like who are in the same spiritual level as me. So I think if I need support in like from quitting sin, I think I would go to my friends rather than my teachers or colleagues.
So, Joel, would you add something to it?
Well, I agree with what Valenka said. I mean, obviously, you go more towards your friends, or to more towards your friends rather than to teachers. And I'm not really sure, like, going to teachers is much of a help. I guess it depends on where you are.
Friends, you mean spiritual friends or just your random best friends, colleagues?
Spiritual friends definitely count, because that would be a major help, because they can advise you on certain things in your life. Whereas friends, they might give you general advice, such as, oh yeah, it's going to be hard, or they give you motivation in order to stop a certain addiction that you have, or you have to be that close with a friend. Whereas if it's a spiritual friend, then I guess it depending on the person and how open you are with them, they are going to give you more advice. They're going to pray with you. They're going to help you out through it. Whereas you might be possibly a bit hindered to actually tell your friends about it, in case, like, what might they think about me, or certain addictions that you have, you can't really be open about.
Are you saying that all of your friends motivate you to quit, or do you think some of them just say carry on what you're doing?
Well, I guess that depends on the sort of friend circle that you hang out in. So if you do have certain friends that that you carry on that addiction with, they're gonna have a hard time accepting that you're gonna try and stop, and they might try and get you back into it. Because obviously, if you're trying to quit, then you're not part of the team, or you're not cool enough to hang out with them. So certain it could be a sort of lack of motivation. So you could be having no support whatsoever from friends. Whereas if you do have really good friends, and even if they are doing, they have a certain hobby or a certain addiction that you have that they share, they might try and help you, so that in that case they can help themselves as well, in order to, as a team, get out of that addiction.
What about counseling services in schools and colleges? Do they help you in quitting a sin or addiction? Let's see and find out from Blair.
Well, I recently found out there was a counseling service in my college. But then when I tried to look more into it, it's not kind of a counseling that helps you move away from a sin or an addiction. It's more like helping you come across your academic struggles. Like if you're struggling with the workload that you get from your classes, or if you're struggling to cope with the pressures of the exam. So it's not like a place where you can go to if you're really depressed or you really need help in your life itself. It's more like the academic stuff.
Edwin, what do you say of a university life?
Well, I kind of agree with Blair in terms of college life. Yes, it's about stress management. But I have started uni and I have attended a few open days. And I have found about counseling services in universities, and that is different from what I experienced in college, because in our university, in University of Manchester, we have a chaplaincy service, and I met a priest, and he said to me that he offer counseling, confession and holy mass every day. So I think that's good in terms, as a students, you can go to him and express your problems, and the whole purpose of counseling is to lead you away from sin and to help and advise you in your spiritual life. So I think most of the universities do offer help in terms of spiritual needs, but colleges don't offer much support, I think. I do agree, priests do help you and advise you, and basically they guide you in your spiritual life. But what universities offer, it's basically a stress management course. You basically go in and it's nothing to do with spirituality. It's just you go in and they chat to you, and then they talk to you about relaxation methods and things like that. So what universities offer is nothing religious, but I don't think there is much awareness in universities about the counseling. Well, there is a lot of awareness about the stress management course, and and exam pressure, and how to get away from it, but there isn't much awareness about spiritual counseling, and that's one of the main issues in universities, I think.
Recent research shows that young people who have strong faith, they're more likely to share their struggles, their addictions with their parents. Let's see what Neetu has to say to it. Neetu, what would you say on this topic?
Yes, I definitely agree that once people have stronger faith, then they're more open to sharing things with their parents. I think we mentioned in the last episode about how children and parents lose connection sometimes, but with faith, this connection is sort of rebuilt through the grace of God. And from my own personal experience, after coming to know Christ, to be honest, just after coming to know Christ wasn't enough to make me share my sins and my temptations with my parents. But as time passed on and I was able to grow closer to Christ, I realized that I needed to tell my parents about what was going on in my life, and I needed to share, because their prayers are hugely powerful for me, and their blessing and their prayers help me to overcome my temptations. And more than that, in a practical sense, the fact that I know that they're aware of my problems makes me it gives me more encouragement to stay away, because I know that if I fall, then I have like a person that I need to tell, and I don't want to tell them that I fell. So I have like a stronger desire, I guess, in some ways, to stay away from that sin as well.
But don't you think at times parents could judge you? No?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand why people would say that and would feel that, and I definitely thought that my parents would judge me. I remember the first time that I was going to tell my mom and dad, well, my mom first of all, that I was in a relationship. So I was in a relationship with a boy, and this was like a year and a half ago, from when I'm telling my mom. And I wanted to tell her, even though that she didn't know about it, I wanted to tell her because I knew that I had deceived her in the past, and I had sort of misused her trust. And I wanted to say sorry for it in person. I'd already said it in confession, but I wanted to say it in person. And I wanted my mom to know my past and what was going on in my life. And I thought she was going to slap me when I said it. But I got the most surprising response ever. And she was like, Neetu, it was probably not the right person for you, and God will give you the best person for you. And I was like, whoa, okay. I was half expecting her to, get her slippers and slap me or something. And after that one thing where my mom actually forgave me for what I did to her, because I did deceive her, that the bond between me and my mom increased so much, so that now, even when I have a temptation, or even when I'm struggling with a particular sin, in the terms of boys and girls, as soon as I know that this guy, or if a guy's talking to me and if he's becoming flirty, I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, this guy's talking to me and he's being flirty, what should I do? And my mom will give me straightforward advice on what to do. And that helps me to stay out of sin, just because they know what's in my life and they can advise me. So yeah, I definitely think that once you grow stronger and closer in Christ, you open up a lot more to your parents.
If today if you had the chance to say something to the young people around you regarding this relationship, what would you say? What would you advise them today?
I think my advice would be your parents aren't going to shout at you the way you think that they are. They're way more understanding than we perceive them to be. So give them a chance. And if you open up to them, if you take the first step and say, look, mom, look, dad, I'm struggling with this. I need your help and I need your advice because I know you're the only person that I have and you're the person that God gave to guide me in this world. So please help me, and they will listen to you. And I think at a certain age as well, and a certain level of maturity, you need to be able to say that. And I think you'll be surprised at the results.